As we go into this election, we've heard from a lot of speakers, and we have we've heard from a lot of speakers, and we understand what's at stake, and I think there's no confusion. But I think that the importance of this moment, this being such a unique moment in the history of our country, I want to speak to you and the importance of what you are going to contribute, not as candidates, but as Democratic leaders across the state. And what you need to keep in your minds is I know that you're going to do the work that you do each election cycle and in between. You know, Donald Trump and his supporters and sycophants have rallied around the term "Make America Great Again." And we hear it over and over about "Make America Great Again." I want to remind everyone of the words of the great sociologist who came over from France after our revolution by the name of Alec de Tocqueville. And he studied America. And he studied this country after our revolution. And he studied this new thing called democracy in our society. And Alec de Tocqueville came away with the impression that America truly was great. But he said, America is only great because America is good. If America should ever fail to be good, she will no longer be great. Let's remember who we are. Let's remember what so many, both in uniform and in their civilian clothes, have given their lives for, marched for, died for, fought for in this country, for the idea of what America is, not a place with drawn lines and borders on a map, but an idea, a belief in what people can at their best be in a society. These are dark times. These are very dark times. I watch the same news you do, and it sickens me. I just saw on the news feed that came in, I was alerted, that Donald Trump put up a post, a racist post, so racist that Tim Scott, the only black member of the Senate, said he had never seen anything quite as racist and vile. And this is America. This is America. Well, Winston Churchill, who, as you know, was a big fan of our country, but had difficulty getting the United States to involve itself in World War II while Britain was being bombed by the Nazis. Winston Churchill said, and I thought it was quite true, America will ultimately and always does the right thing after it exhausts every other possibility. Well, we are certainly in that period now. And it's going to be up to us, but I want you to think of this. It's not just what's happening in this country, how terrible it is and atrocious it is. I want you to think about what Carl said when he talked about being up in the North Country and the fact that our greatest friends, the Canadians, now look to us as something other than friends. Look at the fact that Canadian tourism in the North Country has dropped by 21%. Look at what's going on in Europe. We threatened the Danes over Greenland. I mean, it's insane what's going on. And I want you to think about what our allies in NATO, what nations around the world thought of us. And I hearken back to a story that happened to me and my wife, Mindy, when we traveled, folks in the back, when we traveled to Europe, the first time I ever went with my wife to Europe, I was going to Rome. And we took British Air out of Kennedy Airport. We got to the terminal, and in the terminal, everybody pretty much looked and dressed as normal, average Americans. And we flew to our first stop was at Heathrow Airport. And I can remember we came in under darkness in the early morning to Heathrow. I'll never forget it. And we had to change planes to go to Rome on another British Airlines flight and a different terminal. And we had to go quickly. We walked quickly, got to the next terminal. And there we were in this new terminal, ready to get on the plane to take us to Rome from Heathrow in Britain. And I will tell you, it was a cross-section of the world. You had Arab folks dressed in their native garb. You had folks from South Asia dressed differently. People dressed differently all over. It was amazing. I turned to Mindy. I said, well, Mindy, we're not in Kansas anymore, because it sure didn't look like we were just flying out of an American city, and we weren't. We got on that plane. We happened to sit toward the front. My wife was at the window on the left. I sat next to her. We taxied out, and we stopped. And the pilot announced, ladies and gentlemen, I have apologies. We're in a hold. We have to stop here. The American president, Mr. Clinton, is leaving London now to go to Ireland. And if you're on the left side of the plane, you can look out your window and you will see the American president's plane, Air Force One they call it, and it'll be coming by on the left side in a matter of seconds. Well, of course, I got excited. I'm looking out the window, and there is that magnificent jumbo jet, that 747, blue, white with the gold line down the middle and the words emblazoned on the side, United States of America. And there was a rumbling in the plane, a large rumbling, and I felt it, and I turned around to see what it was. And all of those people on the right side of the plane had gotten out of their seats to look out the left window. And when Air Force One went by, the whole plane of people from all across the world cheered the American president's plane. That is not happening today, and that needs to happen again. And we have to make this country the nation others look to, not just by what we say, but by what we do, not just in the world outside, but in our nation inside. We have to stand for what American values are, what people all over the world look to us for. That's what you're working for in this election. That's why we need a Democratic majority. That's the job you're going to do. We're going to turn the country around and make it again a place where everyone will say, God bless America.